Here at UPRE or Unpopular Review or whatever we're calling ourselves, we like to shake things up. The doctor is not in, but the ladies are. Let's start the show.
Wait a minute. It's 139 Edgecombe Avenue. My name is Claudine. Claudine Price.
Rupert P. Marshall. 7 o'clock.
Hello? Miss Claudine Price Leaford?
Yeah.
6 kids and 4 rooms.
36 and it ain't old.
It's too old to be messing around.
20th Century Fox presents James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll in Claudine.
Claudine, 1974. I think John Barry directed it. This is my romance pick. Backstage, there was a little disagreement as to why I would pick this as a romance. I will defend this in a second. Last time we did this, which I know was eons ago in the Blue Moon, was Love and Basketball. I did not care for that movie. Find out why I picked this one, but I'm not going to do this alone. I said the ladies are here. Let's bring them back. E Boogie, how are you doing?
I'm doing swell fare. How are you?
I'm doing well. We were the backstage that I referred to earlier. We're going to see why you thought it was weird and why I didn't to pick this movie. But let's bring in our other co-hosts. See how you doing.
You know, doing quite well. Not too bad.
See, I
Not
can't
on
go on.
welfare.
I can't go on without telling you. You sound loud and clear. What's going on? What kind of mic are you using?
I am using, you know what? I'll link it below. I'll link it
There you
below
go.
for all those interested.
Check out C's pages, okay? So you see what's going on and you can find out where she got that mic. Last but not least, we have Quick Draw McGraw, who always pauses when I say start the show. It's the executive consultant. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I don't mean to pause, but you do it a little bit faster than I expect, as I might say prematurely. And because of that, I have to find exactly what I'm looking for. So, yeah, I thought I did it pretty quickly this time, but, you know, whatever. Hey, here's a thought. You can press the button yourself, right? Instead of sending me videos for you to go ahead and put in. You can press the button yourself. It'll work. It works just as well.
I have to thank Ray Charles for his many years of friendship, all that he does. Thank you again for pausing on purpose and for saying that I go too fast prematurely. Chris and I have a rat-a-tat of love and hate. And yes, I can't wait to make him wait for some time he needs my help. But we are doing Claudine, 1974. Quick synopsis, okay? 2 single parents in 1970, New York struggle with their current relationship, families, and jobs. Okay, why did I pick this movie? I said earlier, Rashad picked Love and Basketball. That's the next doctor. You know him as, ladies and gentlemen. And I thought that that movie, although it was fine, it was directed well, had a negative message. Here's what I mean by that. It gave an unrealistic expectation of what relationships should be. Okay. I thought it was a one-sided film, as I think many romances are, or romance comedies are, or romantic comedies are. And I wanted to pick a movie that actually showed or depicted a prism of Black life and Black love. This one, 1974's Claudine. And I thought it was realistic because you have a microcosm of the world going on. You have, social programs being pushed in the Black community, whether they needed it or not. You have single parenthood in the big city. You have kids growing up without a father figure. You have fathers who are, I guess, in other towns, other cities, or whatever, whether they're trying to pay for their kids or they're trying to start a new life or what have you. Nobody is perfect in this movie, as they weren't in Love and Basketball. But since everybody's ugly, you see why people are ugly and what they are afraid of. And whereas in one, Diane Carroll's character, she might have been afraid of love for a particular reason. You see James Earl Jones's character, he was afraid of love for another reason. And they are all on display. The kids, they're afraid for other reasons. And nobody is just a caricature, or it's not just one-sided. And I thought it was truer to life. And I really, really want to display that, because whenever we see typically romantic comedies or Black media, it's kind of shown as a caricature. And I like to get away from that. And I like to highlight other films. Charmaine is in love. Hello, Charmaine. How are you doing? So I'm very curious what you all think. Obviously, I have a bias on a movie that I picked, but anybody who wants to jump in, please, by all means.
I'll go. Okay. Oh no, go ahead, Ethan.
I did contest you choosing this movie for the month's theme,
Okay.
but that was an error. I have seen the movie quite a few times, but it's been so long that I didn't quite remember kind of the more light elements of them kind of courting each other, falling in love, and just the entire relationship that they developed that was interwoven into kind of what the standout plot pieces were. What I did, I'll share first what I remembered from the movie. Spoiler alert, it's very, very old, so hopefully you'll still see it, but one of her children ends up pregnant. And I do remember being very, very mad about that, like upset at the daughter. And I also remembered her losing her, or if I'm not mistaken, losing her welfare check, or I guess that's just how I remembered it, her losing her welfare check. That ends up not being true. She does still preserve some level of support and assistance from the government, which a woman with 6 children needs. I'll say the most standout piece of this movie was the soundtrack. The music was absolutely beautiful. I just recently connected that it was Gladys Knight that's kind of singing throughout the whole film, which I think is perfect for that time. I think that's a cool little nugget when you go back and listen. One of my favorite Curtis Mayfield songs is on this soundtrack, which is just so good. And it just kind of where it cuts in is just as Claudine is being able to take a bath and find a moment of peace, which throughout the beginning of this movie she never doesn't really get, and you learn that this is her daily life. Like, she is under a lot of pressure and stress from kind of all angles, and she finds a brief and fleeting moment of respite being with Rupert, gallantly played by James Earl Jones, who, you know, you wouldn't think of him as a traditional male lead in a romance, or I would dare say even rom-com, but he did serve a bit of body in this movie. I was very impressed with that. He was a little bit of a muscle daddy, and kind of his presence with the children pretty much from the jump of meeting them was very fatherly, very like not gonna take any nonsense, but present and engaging. And I really liked that about him and this character. Anywho, yeah, I did see in kind of the final act of the film that we've kind of transitioned away from the love story. And then we've kind of, I don't know, sorry. You know, we've kind of transitioned away from the love story focus, and we're focusing more on kind of the messages that this movie was used to discuss and kind of bring into play. While that was valuable, I did feel that the theme of rom-com was lost a little bit there. It's still a very enjoyable film. There are a lot of tropes in rom-coms that I saw here, which is cool because it's like, oh, this is essentially the Black elite of old Hollywood, and this is like where that gets built. This is why this is a trope, is because this rom-com happened. And then there's a lot of tropes that are like racial, which didn't make for an easy watch on a Tuesday afternoon in 2024. That said, again, it was still very enjoyable. It was very nostalgic to watch. Diane Carroll is stunning in rags or riches, which this movie proves. And yeah, 6 kids is too many. I'd love to hear anybody else's thoughts.
Okay, well, I was told that this theme was romance, and I was looking for the romance in this movie. I didn't see it. This movie didn't feel like a romance. It felt like a public service announcement to not have kids and or not have so many kids and not deal with a man who abandons his children, because that's essentially what Rupert is. He's done so not once but twice. Apparently, he had children another state. One state he moved there, had another child, another state, moved there. It just seemed all like, where's the romance? It just seems like a struggle love, which is, the reason for my background. Say no to struggle love. There wasn't much courting. There was more settling than there was courting. Even the first time he met her, he didn't. When he asked her out, and when she said, "Oh no," he said, "What are you on welfare?" Da, 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 da. Like he was talking smack about her just for turning him down. They go out. He takes her back to his place where he proceeds to try to strip her naked to get in his shower. He's saying hi to the hookers in the hallway because apparently he's very good friends or a client of theirs, and it's just the whole thing just seems like, is this supposed to be a love story? It just seems like a long hour and 30-minute red flag of what not to do and what not to look for in a relationship. And I can't just put it all on Rupert. Claudine herself had her issues, specifically keeping her legs closed on the first date, because as we saw, all she had to do was get a bucket of chicken and a bottle of wine, and she was ready to go. So I'm sorry. It was entertaining, though. It was an entertaining film. But I personally wouldn't really call it a romance. It just seemed like it was just, I don't even know. It was more comedy to me, more comedy and more, I guess, like I said, public service announcement against, because kind of highlighting, I guess, welfare at the time and all of these other like political issues. But no, romance, even with Rupert, he left. He abandoned the family yet again, as is his thing, as we saw. And the only reason he came back is because the son came and whooped his ass. Because if the dude didn't show up, if the son didn't show up and punch him in the face, would he actually show back up? I don't think so. He was at the bar embarrassing himself, and I don't think he would have showed. So yeah, I didn't see much courting, didn't see much romance. I'm still questioning as to why this was selected. But given that the last movie was Love and Basketball, it seems that the ongoing theme is struggle love and not romance. So I guess it's right on brand.
Chris, you want to jump in?
Sure. So let's talk about it, right? Thank you, James. I appreciate you so much. And let me tell you why I appreciate you. Probably like surprised. Like, hey, I'm surprised that you appreciate me for picking a 1974 movie. Well, you know what? There's a reason I appreciate you for picking this movie. One, I've never seen before. Two, it's interesting to see James Earl Jones in a different movie setting than I'm used to seeing with Mufasa. So that being said, it was an hour and 30 some odd minutes. My gosh, James picked a movie that was less than 2 hours. Amazing! I can sit down, I can watch it at work. It's digestible. Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to disagree with my co-host here about it being wrong. I have to disagree with this co-host that just appeared on the screen. It is a romantic movie. It is. He went on, he courted this woman, and that's what he does throughout the entire movie. That's so romantic. Cool. I'm happy. Let's talk about disturbing things in this movie, all right? Because he touched on it, and I'm going to elaborate more on it. I have a problem with this man. First of all, I have a problem with this woman being stupid, right? So I'm watching the movie, and I'm entertained because he walks in there, he sees 6 kids. I didn't know. I saw it just now in the trailer. I was like, damn, she said it in the trailer. Or he said, a friend said it in the trailer. 6 kids. I counted them. I was like, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. As he walked in, the expression on his face told the whole story for me. My God, 6 kids. Okay, let me not talk. Let me not throw stones. Okay, cool. No problem. You do you, sister. He convinces her to go back to his place. He doesn't know her from a can. I mean, she doesn't know him from a can of paint. And you already go back to his place? Mm-hmm. Really? 5 minutes into it? Really? Thought that was, that's how you got 6 kids, right? He's a garbage man. Nothing wrong with that. You work at Ladies and Gentlemen. You probably make more than me now than you did that. Power to you, my man, right? No problem with that. I have a problem with the way that you courted her in the first place. Because just like C said, and I've always had this problem, that might be why I'm so shy. If you get rejected by a woman, there's no reason why you should start insulting her. And then you insulted her. And then all of a sudden, because he stood up for the guy that I guess you just didn't like or something. Oh, no, let me run after this damn garbage truck and give you my address. Had a problem with that. And then the number one problem I have, which shouldn't shock anybody, you let her take a bath at your shithole of a place. And then you immediately start to try to undress her. I got a problem with that. That was quick, fast, in a hurry. Like, what? What are we doing here? Right? Where are we going? I think somebody used to say that. Where are we going? Well, I saw where he wanted to go, right? Kudos to her for not accepting it. But then she takes this bubble bath. She falls asleep. She wakes up. He's right there with his head in the water, right? Yes. I can see if he would just check in order because she fell asleep. I get that, right? But then he, like a creep, and I'll use this word, creeps over the bathtub, right? Creeps over the bathtub, right? And then he tries to force her, right? And I'll use that word because I saw him do some of this. Slip his hand in there. What the hell are we doing? And she goes, oh.
Red flags galore. Red flags galore.
And that red flag turned green because at the end of the night, boom, 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 right? It made no sense to me. I know stuff like that happens in real life, but it makes no sense to me. Even as a man, I find that disturbing, right? The kids are out of control. They're just saying all types of shit. She has no control of the kids. But it's 6 kids. So I'm like, okay, I guess you can understand things. Okay, cool. Now everybody has control of the kids. How old was the oldest son?
I think he's supposed to be like 18, 17, 18.
18-year-old went in and whooped that 40. There's a 40-year-old man, let me tell you. You would no 18-year-old kids coming to whooping my ass because I abandoned them. First of all, you act like you didn't want me around. You got what you want, but then you come on there, and it's because this kid needed a few hugs. Now all of a sudden, oh, it's accepted. Everybody's accepting this man's a fucking apology, even though he didn't even look like he wanted to apologize when he got there in the first place because he started coming out with a lie. There was too much acceptance of mediocrity.
Yep.
They deserve better. And as a mother, right, she should have did better because I'm a father and I like to see my people do better with their kids. If you're not going to accept that man being a role model for my kids, should have did better. You know what I mean, Kendall?
I do.
Exactly. Terrible. Terrible. Shame on you, Mr. Vader. Shame on you. And shame on you, Kunta, because whoever picked you in this movie, shame on them. Throw a tomato at them. That's what I got to say.
Who was Kunta in the movie? What are you talking about?
Right. Mufasa?
What are you talking about, Kunta?
Cochise?
No. My thing
What
is,
are you talking about? Okay, number one, when he reached his hand in the tub, he grabbed her hand and he held her hand.
Creepily.
He
still a violation.
Creepily.
Wait a minute.
She's naked in the water.
No. He called. This is what happened in the movie, and if you want to watch it, you can watch it free on YouTube so you can see. He knocked several times. He called even before he went to the bathroom. He then said her name again when he was at the door. When he opened the bathroom door, he only cracked it open a little bit. When he saw that she was probably asleep, he knelt down and he grabbed her by the hand. Not grabbed, but he took her by the hand and he said her name again. Time to wake up. Now, with him trying to undress or whatever like that, you could say right or wrong, and you could be right or wrong to say it, that was moving too fast. However, just like you said at the tail end of what you just said, in real life, there's a woman getting smashed in the car behind the Target. Okay? Simply because she's getting a ride home. Now, I'm not casting a dispersion upon the woman or the dude smashing her or the woman smashing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying real life happens. So for us to sit here and say, oh, he's undoing her blouse or whatever like that. If you had your favorite celebrity crush or whatever like that, and they started to undo your blouse or unbuckle your belt, you wouldn't have anything to say. They wouldn't be wrong at all. So in this movie, all of a sudden they're wrong. So I think that let's tone it down from 10 to 2, okay? So let's not make it seem like James Earl Jones was in there creeping like Rupert was a creep. He wasn't. Neither Diane Carroll's character was perfect, nor was Rupert, James Earl Jones, the Rupert character, perfect, okay? And two, the son didn't beat Rupert up. Rupert was drunk, and he realized what was going on. That's why he literally says in the dialogue, you've made your point, son. He didn't want to hurt that kid, and he knew that the kid was right. That is a sign of manhood, to admit when you're wrong. And no, it wouldn't make sense for him to go back and all of a sudden he's saying, everything truthful, because he didn't grow that much that soon.
Like a little
He was doing what he knew to do. Okay.
Just like abandon his family.
It's not my job to judge the character for that. I'm just going by what the movie shows us, right? He said he left his family. He said, what is the job of a man, of a husband, is to provide. And when they started garnishing his wage more than what he was already paying, and he could not afford that. He couldn't even afford where he was living. So he didn't abandon his home because of Diane Carroll. He couldn't afford to live here. And he, taking his own free will, I'm going to do it myself. They're not going to, the movie said it, I'm going to do it myself. That's why he moved out. Okay.
But this is the same man who also could have been more than a garbage man, and by his own words,
it's not
want to do that.
If he listen,
because he didn't want to be successful in.
I can't say where I work. I can't say where I work because they have nothing to do with this program that we do, and I don't want any trouble with that. Okay, but I'm a blue collar worker.
No, right? I'm not saying there's no issue with him being a blue collar worker. The issue is that he, by his own admission, has enough intelligence to do something that would provide him with more funds. But
he goes to work every day as a garbage man. He doesn't sell drugs. He doesn't.
I think we're focusing on the wrong thing.
If all he wants to do is be a garbage man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
But his reasonings behind wanting to be a garbage man is because when you make too much money or do too much, you get too much notice. He says something along those lines. So he's purposely
paying,
and possibly in order to
kind of already paying money to his kids. The government said that he wasn't paying more than enough. Now, if anybody does any research and you look at family court, you realize that the reason why child support is so high is not because it's for the mother or the mother's fault. It's because the court gets a percentage of that cut. That's a known fact. So when they garnish his wage, they were garnishing it in addition to the money he was already giving to his kids. So his kids weren't going without. So him being a garbage man or any other blue collar thing had nothing to do with
it. Often men, and we see this in
we're talking about Claudine
and everything else, they'll take lower paying jobs in order to not have to pay.
Did they say that in Claudine 1974?
What'd you say?
Did they say that in Claudine 1974?
Well, I just know what he said out his own mouth is that he
said, I'm already paying for these kids. Didn't he say that? Did he say my kids was hungry? Did he say they didn't have no clothes?
It's in the beginning of the movie. Like you said, it's free on YouTube. You can watch it for yourself.
You can watch it. He was already paying for his kids. He was already, and he said, if I go down to that office, they're going to try and garnish me for every little cent and see every little cent. And Claudine said, no, they're not going to do that. They're just going to do for the kids. And when they went down there, she didn't say anything because she saw that he was absolutely correct. And he was mad because they started garnishing. That happened in the movie. All I'm saying is, that's just my point on that. Now, with him being, what did I wrote? Oh, and him, somebody talked about him saying hello to the hookers or whatever like that. Let's say the movie never says that he had a relationship with the hookers, whatever the relationship could have been, right? As far as business wise, you know what I'm saying, right? But let's just say that he did have a relationship with them. None of that matters unless it happened subsequent to him starting a relationship with Claudine. So whether he knew the hookers intimately or not, that doesn't matter.
It adds to his rakish tendencies. I feel like it is important. It is important
It's not important.
The fact that if he
didn't know Claudine when he knew his neighbor in 402, then it doesn't matter.
This man abandoned not one but two families prior to Claudine, and could possibly be engaging with hookers.
We don't know why those marriages broke up.
Well, given his actions later in the film, we can guess.
On both sides. We don't know why Claudine's marriages broke up, and we don't know why his marriages broke up.
Given his actions,
I heard through the backstage, right, that the reason how come the marriages broke up is because he liked to hang around with them when they took baths. It was some P Diddy shit, and he wasn't comfortable.
Stop
it. Honestly, James, you over here, you're the defendant man, and that's fine. That's no problem. You know what I'm saying? But
let's be accurate about the movie and what happened.
Did he or did he not try to undress this woman on the first date? Did he or did he not try to undress this woman on the first date?
If he really tried, she would have been undressed.
I'm not disagreeing with you, E, but did he or did he not try to undress the woman?
He pushed her buttons to see what she would let slide.
And then what did she do?
She didn't.
Then what did she do? Just humor me. What did she do?
She laughingly shut it down like,
yeah. And she pushed his hand away. And then what did he do? He tried again. He tried 3 times. Right now, we learned as I sell. During my shoot job during the day, I sell now, right? And we are told that 5 equals yes, right? I see that he wanted to get to the 5th no. That's all I'm saying.
Tries at the door, at the bridge with the troll. It's 3 wishes with Rumpelstiltskin. Like this is the ritual. It's 3 times no.
And he also insulted her when she turned him down for a date. This is not a good man.
Everybody knows about nagging. I nag everyone that I know, but I like them.
I don't know. Seems we have a lot of apologists on
we got to move on. We got to get to a commercial break.
Can I just tell a quick story? Can I just
tell your story?
Quick. Okay. Quick story.
He doesn't know that.
A long time ago, I was at another job, and I was talking to my coworker, and they said to me, "James, you would never believe this, but you saw who just came into the office?" I said, "Yeah." He said, I was at a Wendy's, and I pulled up to the drive-thru, and this chick says to me, "I'll do anything to get a job." And they said, "Where do you work?" And I said, "Oh, I work at," I can't say where, but it was the depot. And so this person said to me, I work at the depot. And they said, "I'll do anything. I'll do anything." I'm trying to tell the story, Chris. What's the problem? And I'll do it.
I can't say where it was. It was the depot.
It's the depot. It was a depot. They got a lot of depots.
My God.
I can't say where it was. Okay. Anyway, where was it? Oh, at the depot. So the same person that said at the drive-thru at Wendy's, "I will do anything to get a job at the depot." I saw them in the office. Now, I never asked the person telling the story how they got the job, but one wonders. Did they stop at the first button or the second? That's all I'm saying. But we got to go to commercial break.
I thought one wonders that she had the bubble bath before he came. He put his head in the water. That is a violation.
And she used to work at Wendy's. That's all I'm saying.
You know what I would have did if I wanted to make sure she was alive? I would have used some water on a washcloth, and I would have splashed some water on her. Like, "Hey, are you there?" I would not put my hand in the water with a naked body of a person I don't even know. He didn't even know her middle name. He didn't even know her kid's name. He called the kids dopey, sleepy, weepy, ice cream. I don't know.
Because you're full of it. You're full of it, Chris. I'm gonna get you
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a commercial break. Final Word Reviewing Thursday as well as next Tuesday. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review. It's crazy.
When I was your age, they would say we could become cops or criminals. What I'm saying is this. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference? Feeling we got a cop in my crew.
Sooner or later, he's gonna find out who I am, and he's gonna kill me. I can get the rap. You just gotta let me do it my way.
If you don't, it won't be me who pays for it. How's your mother?
She's on her way out.
You all are. Act accordingly.
What if you couldn't remember your real name, your first kiss, or your last goodbye?
I don't remember.
All your memories.
Name's Charlie. I'm coming back.
Came flooding back to you.
Isn't Charlie? Long time.
One bullet at a time.
I got movement on Samantha Kane.
Good.
I may have a lead on someone. They still have some of her stuff.
This man is going to help me find some things out, so we'll be safe.
Your full name is Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore.
Charlie Baltimore's alive, sir.
Who are you? Name's Charlie. The spy.
Wow. Another one of James's great picks. The Long Kiss Goodnight starts off our dynamic duo month next week. Looking forward to that. Speaking of which, somebody still needs to send me their solidified pick for that month. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure she knows who she is. Now, meantime,
my romance selection. I will be sending that.
I didn't say romance. I said dynamic duo romance.
Yes, romance.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk about it. Turning it back over to James as we continue to talk about Claudine and her stalker.
There we go. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by E and two haters. We thank you for tuning in. Now, we're coming up on our final thoughts of this movie. You know what I think of this movie. Listen, you know, I all joking aside, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, whether I agree with it or not. I like realism and almost hyper-realism in movies. I appreciate that. I don't mind movies that are in black and white. I don't mind movies that are silent. I don't mind movies that have subtitles because I want it to be as real as authentic to the auteur's vision and creation, okay? In this one, you had two imperfect people. They had imperfect lives. They were who they were. They made their mistakes, whether they learned from them or not. I think that's more realistic than two people who have everything going together and they both have degrees or whatever, and everybody says the right things, you know. I think it's implausible that you work a long day and your feet don't stink. You know what I mean? I think it's much more beautiful and romantic when you take your shoes off and your feet stink and you understand and you don't care and you say, hey, let me get the bath for you. I'll cook. Then it's my turn in the shower. I think there's a beauty to that and there's something real to that. I think it's realistic that he tried because maybe those are the type of women I think C brought it up about the hookers in the apartment. Maybe he was messing with them and he could do that with them. You know what I mean? Or he spit game to them, you know, and they accepted that. Diane, so these are my limits. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm not. And he respected that. They were getting to know each other. That's what they constantly talked about. There were always conversations with the two of them whenever they were alone, whenever they were in the bed. The fact that he ran away because he was scared, because he didn't know how to be a dad, and he would have to be a dad, and he would have to stand up, and it required something that he didn't know necessarily how to do, and he was learning step by step. I respect that. I respect that he had enough to say it, whether it was dragged out of him, kicking and screaming, or not. I respect the fact that she knew, hey, I don't want to have to take this acceptance. It grates me every time that I take this government assistance, but it's what I have to do to feed the children. I didn't like the fact that the kids talked back, that they were so rude and disrespectful, but that's the stress that it causes when the kids have to be adults to other kids. That's realistic. You see that where I come from, you see that all the time. And I don't think that those families are any less or any greater than I am. I just think they're real to their experiences. And it's realistic. And I think it's more realistic than a lot of the other romantic comedy movies that we see where everything is happily ever after and, you know, one side always knows best and there are no worries and no concerns and everything like that. I like realism in films. I like crust in your eyes when you wake up. And I thought it was beautiful. And I think for a romantic movie, it was beautiful. There was comedy in it, but it was realistic comedy, not over the top. So I give it a thumbs up.
I'll try to be quick. There is something very notable in history that happened in 1974. And so I think that with this new knowledge, we can shift our perspectives a bit more on the welfare component to this film. It wasn't until 1974 when the Equal Credit Opportunity Act passed that women in the US were granted the right to open a bank account on their own without input or signing off from either their husbands or a male benefactor. With that said, I am surprised that everyone is feeling strongly that the creepier moment was in the bathroom when he grabbed her hand from inside. I felt like that had a demonstrated level of tenderness and gentleness to it to wake her in that way. The more creepy version, I would say, or piece of that scene is when she goes to cover herself. When he walks into the bathroom, she wakes up. And he's like, well, what you covering up for? Ain't nothing. You gotta do that. You show me them titties. And I just was like, that's not the thing that would make me say, okay. But it worked for Claudine. And so, girl, I feel that, and let them things hang. With that, I hate this selection for this theme, like absolutely, even acknowledging that it was essentially a rom-com or whatever. I hear you on the reality of it, James, but it's not a good fit for me. I'm still gonna give it a thumbs up though, because it is a good movie. It definitely has rewatchability no matter what, even all these years later. That said, I probably wouldn't watch it on Tuesday.
Right.
I'm very curious. Please tell me backstage why you wouldn't pick it as a comedy. I mean, as a romance. But whoever wants to go next, they can go.
So, this movie had a lot of bad. There was Claudine. She was a bad mother. I don't care what you say about it. Her kids were horribly behaved. She continued to have them, even though she couldn't afford them, and was essentially leaving them to parent themselves whenever she has a date or wasn't available. As we saw from the oldest daughter, she was practically the mother in the household because Claudine was always, running around with her homeboy. What's his name? Rupert. He was a bad person. He abandoned 2 families, 3 by the end of the movie. He was skirting the child support checks as much as he could. When they started taking a little more out of his check, he literally said in the movie, "I'll work as a busboy," because he'd rather take a lower paying job than to handle his responsibilities. It's just an example of just bad people. And I don't really think of it as more realistic. I think of it as exploitative. I think of it as normalizing struggle of and toxicity and settling in relationships when you shouldn't. So for that reason, I don't consider this a romance. Was it an entertaining movie? Yes. It was entertaining. I would not watch it again. I would not show it to my kids. I don't have kids, but I would not show it to my kids because I don't want them to grow up thinking that this is an acceptable love, because it isn't. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a thumbs down because I don't feel like it goes with the theme. For that reason.
I saw somebody not handle rejection well. I saw somebody lower their standards to settle. I saw someone go to some dude's house that she barely knows, that she met earlier today, let him try to undress her, put her his hand in her bathtub, or his bathtub technically, but still, do that thing E. Boogie says. I saw a teenage girl sneak out, get drunk, throw up, which was funny, get pregnant, get beat their ass with. I saw somebody say, hey, pretty much got guilted into accepting a marriage proposal, then acting like he wants to get married, and then he disappeared because he couldn't handle it. Disappeared so much he disconnected his phone, moved, called out of work, like, what the hell, just to get drunk at a function, to get beat up by the son, and then hug and say, oh, okay, hey, you know what? I'm back. Maybe I should make this work. Let me lie to the kids. Oh, you don't believe me? Okay, well, this is the truth. I'm a deadbeat. Can y'all forgive me? Sure, let's be a family. That's what I saw, right? But was I entertained is the question. No, I'm not, my man. I am not entertained at all. Russell, how did they do this to me, Russell? How do I always convince me to watch these movies?
Can we see that thumb again, please?
Sure.
The black thumb.
I got the 1974 thumb.
Oh,
yeah, it gets a thumbs down from me, my friend. You know, nice try. Hopefully, this other movie, you got 2 movies in a row. How did that happen? Hopefully, this next movie will do you some justice. But speaking of next movies, immediately after this, we're actually doing a movie that's near and dear to our hearts. Yeah, I'm talking about this one.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feel, and I'm happy again.
I'm going to miss that commercial after we do this film in a couple minutes. Anyway, James, back to you.
Listen, one of the things I love about doing this show, again, all joking aside, is that no matter if I agree with my co-hosts or disagree with them, I love it when they rationalize their opinions. And that I can't disagree with. And they made great points, and it made me think about it. C and Chris, they both had differing opinions, but they based it on the movie. And I love that. That means they actually paid attention to it, and I appreciate that. And the fact that they can sit down and watch movies that they might not necessarily sit down and watch automatically. So I'm only grateful for that, and I thank you for watching the show tonight. Coming up, as Chris teased, one of the greatest trailers. I think we got, 5 million hits on that trailer alone. Singing in the Rain. Now, we've done this show before, but we're going to do it again. Final broadcast, encore broadcast, okay? Singing in the Rain, which has a tie-in to this movie. Can you figure it out? First person to say so in the comments when we do that broadcast wins. I'm curious if our co-hosts understand that. Elvis says hello to the 2 ladies and Christian right there. Mike Knox, I didn't forget you. Salute to you and your hate from backstage. Salute to you, sir. But thank you again for tuning in for Claudine 1974. My next pick is A Long Kiss Goodnight, Samuel Jackson's favorite role that he has ever played, according to him. I love that movie. That's a great movie. Dynamic duos. And I heard that somebody's trying to do dark fantasy. Dare I say it? Dare I say it? And might I hint on what my pick is going to be?
Go ahead.
There's nothing to fear except the nothing. If you can figure that out, you know what I'm going to pick.
Oh, I think I know. I think I know.
What is it?
I think I know. I think I know.
Say my name.
Huh?
Say my name. That's a line from the movie.
Okay, so can I say it? What I think it is? I could be wrong.
What do you think it is?
Is it the Never Ending Story?
Yeah, you don't remember when she's like, "Say my name," or Trejo, "Say my name." Yeah.
Oh no!
Wait, is this?
I'll tell you guys my pick. I'll tell you my pick.
Dark fantasy.
That's a good franchise.
I'm picking Dark Crystal, the Dark Crystal.
I knew you were going to pick that. I said, because they kept showing the Labyrinth at Alamo, and I said, I bet you C is going to pick one of the Henson movies, and I knew it.
The Labyrinth was my second pick. I love that movie. I have it on DVD.
The force is strong with me. Ladies and gentlemen, these 2 movies that we're doing tie in together, though, okay? First person in the comments wins. Let us know how Singing in the Rain and Claudine 1974 tie into each other. Do you know?
They're both not a romance. It's like, I don't know. I've never.
You don't think the other one's a romance? The other one's a romance.
Wrap this up. It's 43 minutes. Oh my God. Never ending stories.
Not invited.
It's like this episode.
Chris, let me get you that Raisin Bran. Listen, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, tune in for our final encore presentation of Singing in the Rain. For me, for E.
Best movie ever.
For C, for Chris.
Best movie. American classic.
I liked it.
You should. You should.
Chris, we're unpopular.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Thank you, Elvis.
You should be rolled a troll of UPR. How about that? F out of here. That's what I buys this kid.